Okay guys, so hopefully this will do it. This is a crank no start situation, so let's see. Here's key, we'll put it down, we'll hit the start. Alright, so just to get you to be able to hear and listen better, alright, so obviously crank no start. Let's go ahead and hook up the scanner and show you what codes it's got. Now, one thing I will say, I have looked at this off camera, like I usually do, but I decided to pick this up because it might be something kind of simple. I am gonna probably just do an educated guess based off of the little testing that I have done. So I'll show you the codes that it has. And based off of that, I had a vehicle here that was same engine and same computer. It was just in a, I believe it was a C class or E class, one of those, but same setup. And I tested both vehicles, same systems and sensors and so on and so forth. And both on the voltmeter and stuff were the same. I was testing out here outside in the cold. So one thing this vehicle does is, as you can see, so it acts weird when you scan it. I did a complete system scan, as you can tell, and look, the vehicle is perfect, no faults, right? But obviously, we've got a crank no start. And we see the ECM. Let's see if we can get in it. And just to show you, so there's the engine cover. Again, like I said, I've been sort of testing and looking at it ahead of time, and I've come to a decision of what I want to do and or try. Okay, so let's just go in there. Let's make sure we're communicating properly. Let me take a picture of that and that. Okay. So let's look at trouble codes. If you remember beforehand, there was no trouble codes in the list when it came up. And if you remember, I said sometimes it acts weird when you scan it. Sometimes the computer doesn't even come up in that full system scan, so you have to go into it individually. But this time it came up, showed no codes. We go into it individually, read codes, and here you go. We get multiple codes pulled up that never showed up beforehand. And so we're getting these codes that all show has a short to ground circuit, basically short circuit to ground. This one has an open circuit, possible open circuit. This one, let's see, short circuit to ground, short circuit to ground, short circuit to ground, short to ground, to ground, to ground, to ground. Let's see, voltage value is outside permissible range, power supply. Engine. Okay, so our battery is good. This system in the wiring diagram, a lot of these sensors and stuff are on a tied in with it's actually a 12 volt supply circuit. So let's see. So actuator for the exhaust camshaft. See, vent valve, heating, intake camshaft, actuator. Let's see. There was one. It didn't come up on this list. I might have it in the history. For the intake cam sensor being also shorted and stuff. So those are the ones that were easy to get to when you take the cover off right up top. And the cam sensor and actuators I tested compared to the other vehicle, and both had the same values. I expected one to be different, meaning this one, being that it's supposedly shorted, have and display, voltage reading that's different than the known good. Alright, so here's the engine. Here are your actuators. Here's the intake sensor that I was testing. You can see the covers off compared to the exhaust. Again, the voltage values were the same. Now, here's the computer. So let me see if I can show you what I got it to do. So we clearly have a crank and no start. Okay, key is on. So let me show you this. So let me erase no codes in the engine computer. Let me cycle the key to off. Come in here. And then let's go back on. I'm not going to try to start it just yet. Let's just read the trouble codes. Just from a key cycle after clearing the codes. Okay, so that one was active before, and it's still active now. So it's seeing that one. Now, let's see if I can maybe get you a shot. I'm going to try to crank it. Okay, and this is the same exact deal that it did last time. It started, it cranked up, started, and ran after simply clearing the codes. Okay, so again, there it is. It started, it runs, it drives, and this is what it did to me last week. It was crank no start. I was checking it, had all those multiple codes, and even then the codes were all listed as active, not just the one singular code. And I was testing, comparing with the known good. The voltage values for the sensor were the same, despite the fact that this was listing it as a shorted condition. And then at that time, again, it was stuck outside, not starting. I wanted to try to get it inside. So what I did, again, then, was I cleared the fault memory, and it started up for me. And so, okay, at that time, we brought it inside. I parked it and let it sit over there because I was going to start basically trying to diagnose for a shorted sensor and find out what was going on with that circuit. But it always started. It could never get it to act up. It always cranked, started, and so I started driving it. I drove it for multiple days, ran some errands, parked it, drove it, parked it, drove it. I did bring it inside because I wanted to test it in case it wouldn't start overnight or so on and so forth. After that, I could not duplicate it, could not get to start. I was basically going to chalk it up as, at this point, maybe it just needed to be reset with whatever happened to the computer or sensors or whatever. And so I parked it out to the front, was going to leave it there, contact the customer, let him know what was going on. And I think a day or two after that, I went to go crank it to move it, and it was a crank no start again. So, the one major difference that from when I had it and was trying to duplicate it to then was that I parked it outside. And also, when the customer has had the issue happen, it's been outside. So, when it's outside in the cold, it gets in this state of crank no start and throws all those trouble codes. The whole time I had it here inside, never had that issue. So basically, long story short, I am going to go with an educated guess based off what's happening, and because I can't see within seconds of reading a code that's active for a shorted sensor, clearing it, turning off and cycling on, that the sensor and or circuit would not stay shorted and magically all those codes go away, starts, runs, and drive. So I don't, if there was a shorted circuit, say a wire was shorted to ground, say a sensor was internally shorted, it would basically stay touching and shorted, and you can't get rid of that unless you move a wire that's shorted or unplug the sensor, get rid of the short, so on and so forth. I'm thinking that the short and the issue is with the computer. And it sorta, kinda helps or backs up the guess with simply clearing the code, basically resetting the computer, that it starts, runs, and drives. Again, if there was a shorted circuit, that wouldn't matter. It would stay shorted if it was outside of the computer. And so just to show you again, we'll shut it off. It should crank, run, drive. Okay, clearly it starts up again. This is the only code that's in there. I just reread it after cycling key. And this one's actually switched over to stored. So, I don't think this one could inhibit it from cranking and running. And obviously all the other shorted codes are gone. So this just came in today. It's a used computer, clearly. We're going to give this a shot, replace it with the one in there, but we're going to have to do some cloning work, which I've not done yet up to this point in this version of Engine Computer. So let's get set up and see if we can make this happen. Okay, so I've got this stuff here laid out and going to get started on setting up. These are the obviously the engine computers. We're going to use the Autel for this procedure, and apparently for this specific engine computer you need the G-Box 3. So everything up to this point I have been using the G-Box 2. For some reason, there must be a communication different, either protocol or something with the 3. Looks like it's an updated version of the 2. But this is what's needed to perform the communication for this computer to be able to do this cloning work. So let me get set up and go from there. Okay, so we just read the boot, the EEPROM, and the flash off of the original one. We'll go ahead, swap out, and try to write to the used one. Okay guys, so I wanted to test something. It's definitely not as cold today for some reason as it's been. It's about 48, 49. I would have liked for it to have been colder to see if we can get this to act up. So, let's see. First time cranking it since parking it from all the testing. Let's see. Alright, so it's not doing the whole shorted sensor trouble code deal, but yet again, after we cleared the codes, basically reset the engine computer, it's been starting, left it outside to try to duplicate it, but it didn't get as cold. So yeah, there you go. It's quote unquote only 47, which earlier all day was not that cold. It was maybe a little bit warmer than that. So I know over the weekend and into next week it's gonna get crazy cold, like single digits. So hopefully I can duplicate this for you guys with the temperature change after being reset. Alright, it's the very next day. It definitely got cold overnight. I think we are about 22 degrees. Let's see what we get. Alright, yep, 22. Let's see if I can get you outside. Let's see if it starts. Ah, sweet. Awesome. Alright, let's see. One more time. Alright, so symptom basically think can be attributed and proven out to a temperature issue once it gets cold outside. Okay guys, so as you saw previously, the Autel was not able to, it failed to write. Basically what was going on is after reading the original one, when going to write the boot information, it ended up, as you saw, was unsuccessful. And then I grabbed another computer because I went to read the info out of the used one, and it was unable to. At that point, I couldn't read or write, do anything with one. I got a second used one, and same thing. After attempting to write, I couldn't read or write or do anything with the second used one. Basically, the Autel was bricking these modules for some reason, even though it states that it can do it, and all my numbers were matching. So I don't know what's going on with the Autel, but I just got an update to be able to do it with the OBD Star for this particular Bosch computer, and that is what I am doing. So I'll get you guys back on this. This is the original one I'm reading. I got here a third used one, as you can see, and I'll be writing it with the OBD Star. Hopefully it'll be successful with no issues, and we'll be able to move on with this repair. Alright, so we're back at the car. Obviously, here's both computers. This is the original. I'm going to put the donor one in. Okay, I'm going to set this one here for now. And let's see, so I got the key. I'll have to get the scanner here, but I just want to see if it'll start and run. So I'm going to key on first and step on the brake. And perfect. Wow, awesome. Finally got some good success with the OBD Star. I haven't had the greatest luck with it here recently on performing some of the work it says, but for now on this one, it did come through. It saved the day. Successfully cloned over this engine computer. Okay, so the vehicle's still running. It's warming up, like I said. I went ahead, got the Autel, did a full system scan. Engine computer did come up, and it's showing the one fault. Let's see which one that is. All right. So yeah, that's that same one that was there previously. So it looks like this computer might be picking that up. So that is obviously, and it's listed active. So it is obviously something that's currently present. Going forward, I will get with the customer, see if he wants to look into that. But the main thing is, again, that we are chasing is when it comes up with like 10 or plus codes of a shorted code, whatnot, with multiple sensors. That is what we're trying to rectify. And again, I believe it's something to do with that guy. But, and with cold temperature weather situation. So I'm going to test drive this vehicle, make sure everything's okay. Gonna park it here outside again. It is supposed to get in the, I think, mid to high 20s overnight and early morning by when I get in. So first thing I'll do in the morning, after I let it sit with this donor computer outside in the cold weather, I'm gonna come out here, crank it over, see if it starts, runs, drives, or if we have the same multiple codes in the crank no start situation. I think that'll be a good test to see what this second computer does. Okay, so it's about 32 degrees this morning. Let's see if we get a crank no start. All right. So it's not as cold as the other night, or other morning actually, but I mean, it did get pretty cold overnight, and probably would have assumed that it would have gotten it to the point to where if it was the vehicle failing, it would have failed. But obviously this separate, different computer did not fail in that short out way or method. So I think, again, this is the route that I think I'm going to go with, and let the customer know to take it and just see how it does.